Pamela R. Haynes, author of Loving the Brothers, and Loving the Sisters. Two amazing books. Yeah, today I'm blessed and honoured to have Pamela on the platform today to discuss those powerful books and what's next to come. So, none other than Pamela R. Haynes. I'm humbled to have you here.
Nice to be here too.
Grateful to have you here. It's been a long time coming, this conversation between me and you. And apologies first, and a shout out to you for your platform, your book, podcast. Kind of re-triggered me to even do what I'm doing now, because I was meant to do this years ago. I know I did something of some kind of some podcast, book podcast, but I was meant to do this some years back and I held back. So thank you for re-inspiring me to do what I need to do. And yeah, long term coming, and apologies for not being on that platform, because I know I was supposed to be on your podcast a while ago. So yeah. But guys, that's just a separate side note. Yeah, Pamela R. Haynes, the amazing author, amazing mother figure, we have here on Don't Judge a Book by the podcast.
Well, thank you for the introduction.
Yeah.
And you know, nothing happens 1 minute before it's supposed to.
Yeah.
So my interview with you is going to be epic when it does happen.
For sure.
And I believe that it will be a wonderful conversation. Thank you also for having me on your platform. I was delighted to be out and honoured to be here.
Thank you for coming last minute as well. Appreciate it.
No problem at all. I'm very fond of you, very fond of your work as well.
Thank you.
And what you're trying to do, so I wouldn't miss the opportunity to take part. I'm like you, I'm from the East London.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in Canning Town in East London, went to local schools. I'm one of 5 siblings. I'm the eldest. I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters.
Okay.
So my brothers live in Australia and my sisters live in Essex. Again, delighted to have had a career working in the criminal justice system for over 30 years.
So you worked in the criminal, just to let people know, I know you've worked in the criminal justice system as a youth.
I used to work for the Crown Prosecution Service, and after a stint there, I felt that I was part of the problem, not part of the solution. It was like a revolving door, especially for young black men. Every 6 months or so, we saw the same young people coming through the system, and there was something about the social inquiry report, which was written by the probation service, that was quite influential. It stopped a lot of young people from going to prison and offered alternatives to custody. So I thought, well, you know, why not have that kind of influence with judges and magistrates and become a probation officer?
Okay.
So I left CPS and I joined the probation service. The service literally across the road. The offices were across the road from each other.
That must have been weird, yeah.
And I joined as an unqualified probation officer.
Salute to you for taking that step and change.
Okay. I used to work with people in the youth justice team. So I would escort young people to various appointments. Yeah. I would write to prisoners in custody, especially those serving long sentences, send them Christmas cards, because very much their family dynamics had broken down, which meant that a lot of them had no visitors. I would visit them in prison, accompany people to rehabs and so on, help them settle in once they were released. And I got the opportunity 5 years from doing that to train as a probation officer, as a social worker. So I went to Kingston University in Surrey, and I got my diploma in social work there. I stayed on, loved it, loved learning, and I topped it up to a degree in criminal justice. And I stayed on in the probation service, moved around, did quite a lot of different roles, and I retired in 2018.
Retired? Wow.
Yeah. And I've always wanted to write.
I was going to ask you, what brought you to writing? Was how did you get from all of that to picking up the pen?
Well, I was always writing court reports, and that was a way of
That's
telling.
That's a different type of writing, though, isn't it?
Absolutely, but it was storytelling nonetheless. You know, it had a beginning, it had a middle, and an end.
Yeah.
You had to tell the judiciary in in a very short space of time how much you knew about the offender, about their pattern of offending, whether they were remorseful or not, what their hopes and dreams are, and also come up with a sentencing proposal that fits what the offence was. And so yes, I've always wanted to write my own stories. And you can imagine I was on the receiving end of hearing so many stories that the clients that I work with had to tell me. In particular, I did a spell as a domestic abuse facilitator, and I heard hundreds of stories from men and what brought them to this point in their lives. And originally I wanted to write an anthology, a group of women who are willing to share their experiences of domestic abuse, put it in a book. For some of the women, they wanted to be able to explain to their children why perhaps there was limited contact with their father, or there was no contact at all, and didn't know how to start off that conversation with their children, and they wanted to be able to do that through a book. But for one reason or another, it was actually easier to tell a story that was completely fiction. And I pulled out the cycle of abuse, and I decided to write a story which was fiction. That said, everybody thinks that the book is about them or about somebody that they know, and I was overwhelmed by how people took to the book, and they were contacting me constantly on social media.
So before you go on there, that journey to how you became an author for me sounds very purposeful. It sounds like it was ordained, and the stories that you was maybe reading in those court reports is what's giving you the motivation to become the writer and that brought you to this first book of domestic violence. So again, people, Loving the Brothers by Pamela Haynes. Get yourself a copy. Let me read the back of it. So realistic, fiction has never felt so real. Aurea Rias, author and domestic abuse advocate. Patty is a busy senior probation officer working in Camden, London, with the teenager off to university the following year. Charmaine is a stressed out mum of twin toddlers, and Rose is a pastor's wife with 5 daughters. Life gets complicated when they meet the 3 Morgan brothers, Manly, Marcus, and Reggae Star Jr., who are from a close-knit Jamaican family. Loving the Brothers is set in gritty London and sun-kissed Jamaica. The women meet and plan their next move to escape their abusive relationships. Written by Pamela Haynes. Loving the Brothers, people. Would you like to get into this one and give us a bit more information on this book? Or what you would like to share, if you don't want to share too much?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very proud of it. I started writing in 2016, and I met a publisher around the same time. I say what I always say when I meet authors, one day I'm going to write my own book. And she said, well, I'm moving into publishing, stick with me. And for 2 years she supported me, mentored me, helped shape the ideas for the book. And the book was published 8 weeks before a milestone birthday that I was having. So it was a passion project, something that I've always wanted to do, something to tick off on the bucket list.
Yeah.
What I wasn't expecting was how popular the book would become.
Amazing.
It turned from a passion project into more or less like a movement in terms of raising awareness around domestic abuse. Everybody thinks they know what it is. If a man hits a woman or a woman hits a man, that's clear cut. But there are other forms of domestic abuse that I wanted to cover in the book, hence my 3 characters in the book.
Patty being one of them.
Yeah, Patty is obviously a senior probation officer. I was a senior probation officer, and they always say write about what you know about. So I made her my principal character. You know, people write stories about criminals, about the police, about hospitals, about you know, journalists, and you know, but nobody has really tackled the probation service and have a probation officer as the principal character. You know, we do really good work as well. So I wanted to put probation at the heart of this story and give people a glimpse of the kind of activities that we do in terms of protecting the public and so on. But Patty, like quite a few of my friends, is middle-aged. You know, very intelligent, doing her PhD, which when you read in the book, but alone, and doing it alone, single mother to a daughter. And you know, I've got quite a few people that I know who are in that category who would love to be in a relationship but can't seem to find somebody. So I wanted to explore what black love looks like through my character Patty, meeting Marcus Morgan on the train. My whole book is based in London and partly in Jamaica as well. And I wanted to let the reader know how we date each other, the kind of places that we go to, and we watch this couple fall in love through the book. So that's fundamentally, the book is about love and how my characters meet. My second character, Charmaine, is in a marriage, but feeling as though she's doing it on her own. And again, I have another group of people that I know who feel very isolated. They might have the wedding ring on, and they might have what looks like the trappings of success, but essentially they're doing the hard work of raising children by themselves, and the marriage falls apart from there, really. And my final character is in the church, and I grew up going to Sunday school. In fact, in our house, we went to school every day of the week. So Monday to Friday was regular school. Then we had supplementary schools that we had to go to, Saturday schools, because our parents wanted to keep us ahead. So we had Saturday school that was set up locally to us.
Saturday school is the church.
Right, and then Sunday school. And now as an adult, I think us going to Sunday school was just to give our parents a break. It was the only probably time that it was just them, cart the children off to Sunday school, and they could have at least a couple of hours to themselves. So, and then we had school clothes, we had home clothes, and we had Sunday school clothes. And we would rebel, hide our church shoes, hide our church clothes, but we went to school every single day of every day of the week. But I saw a lot at church that I didn't like, especially how some of the ministers would talk to their wives and treat their wives. And Rose is in that predicament where she wants to be loyal to her marriage and the church, but she's torn. And we explore what life is like for Rose living with a man that it was more or less like a forced marriage. It definitely wasn't a love marriage because she didn't know him. And we explore what happens when the women meet. And I've really enjoyed writing the story. I wrote it in a very I started at chapter 1 and I finished at chapter 26 right the way through. Whereas with Loving the Sisters, it was more or less dipping in, and when I had an idea, I wrote that. So it's a very different experience, but I'm very proud of the book. It picked up 2 awards in 2018.
Can I see one of those awards?
Well, this is the award I got recently. This is brand new.
Okay, we're showing
That's right.
other awards, but we'll show this award anyway.
Just turn it the other way.
Loving the Brothers got an award. It wasn't this award, but we're just letting you know that this book got an award, so I'm just showing it so it's in your psyche,
Yes, I'm very proud of it.
Well done.
And what a book does, it opens up doors for you to do other things. And Loving the Brothers has certainly did that. So I had 3 book launches.
Say that again, a book
opens the doors.
Okay, I didn't know.
And opportunities for you to do other things. So I had 3 book launches, one in London, in Stratford, and that was very well attended. Lots of fun, lots of music, poetry, spoken words, and so on, which was really good.
What year was this?
That was 2018.
2018. The book came out in
2018. Yeah.
Okay.
And
it seems longer than that, to be honest with you.
yeah,
Maybe it's COVID.
yeah.
You know what it is? I think COVID's messed up other people. I feel like this book was out for longer, but
Yeah, we lost 2 years, didn't we? So,
yeah.
but as far as I'm concerned, I didn't lose anything during the pandemic times.
I didn't lose anything.
No, I was at home. I was writing. My husband built me an office so that I could do some writing at my desk.
Yeah.
He bought me a laptop and told me to get on with the sequel. There was a lot of people wanting to know where part 2 was of the book. This book is self-published. I use a self-publishing company to publish Loving the Brothers, and that's where you pay them to do everything. So they do the cover, the formatting, everything that you need to do, the ISBN number.
How do you feel about
everything.
when you say the cover, the designer of the cover?
Yeah, she works with a designer to do the cover.
That for me, I don't know about other authors, but for me would be a bit, I don't know. Maybe because the way I see the cover before I see the book, because maybe I'm a visual learner. So I feel like for me, I don't know if I'll be able to take that approach, but how does that work for you? I personally like the covers.
Yes.
I'm not gonna say I don't, but
Yeah,
I just would be so specific on what I want, because I see the characters before, I see the whole story, and the person on the cover might not necessarily even be a character.
But that's the beauty of being self-published, because you're paying. So you're paying to get exactly what it is that you want. And I had 3 designers work on the covers, and the first 2 wasn't really impressed with what was brought back to me. But the 3rd person, I met him over Zoom. Zoom wasn't as popular then back in 2018, but I met him over Zoom, and I told him part of the story, what happens, why these 3 brothers are on the front. I wanted them in black suits because they're going to a funeral. I wanted the cover to be set in Jamaica, and I was shocked at what he came back with, because it exceeded my expectations. He even got my favourite flower, tropical flower, at the bottom of the cover. I can see John Crow flying over. If you really study, the only remit that I gave him is that I wanted the faces to be abstract, to be distorted, because you might look at someone and they look fine, but when you look closer, you can see some flaws that the characters have, and that was probably about it. And what he came back with, I had an emotional reaction to.
So it was what you were looking for.
Right. Yeah, but as I said, most of the time, other decisions are made for you. When you're with a traditional publisher, when you're with a self-publisher, you get to decide everything. Even the font of my book was important to me, because I have problems with my eyesight, and I wanted the book to be accessible to a lot of people. So adults my age have commented that they haven't had to wear their reading glasses. They're not doing this with the book, trying to access it. It's very readable, and that was important to me as well.
Okay, you sound like you have a passion for writing. Have you always wanted to write, would you say?
I would say that it's one of the things that have been on my bucket list, but I didn't
From
really.
what age would you say that?
I don't know. The thing is, I love reading. That's where my
so you've
real
always
passion
been a
is.
reader.
I've always been a reader.
Okay.
I'm the person with the glasses on, 8 years old, at the library, heading the book.
Okay.
Now, if I could take out the maximum that you could take out in the library at that time was 6 books, I would be that person taking out, that child taking out 6 books at a time.
Connection as to why
and I craved black literature, And when I found an author that was black, I had to devour everything that he or she had written. So I'm thinking of Duchi Amacheta, who I just devoured, Nigerian British author, and I just devoured her books because there wasn't that many around.
When you was younger?
Yeah.
Okay, who was around when you was younger?
Yeah, that would be Duchi Amacheta, Alice Walker, Andrea Levy.
Colour Purple.
Yeah, read The Colour Purple. Got okay. I've got another copy, a more modern copy.
So wait a minute. Alice Walker's, she's American, right?
That's right.
Okay, cool.
Andrea Levy, who's British, Jamaican, passed away recently.
I'm not sure if she is, rest in peace.
Yeah, she wrote books like Every Light in the House is Burning, Small Island, which was adapted. That title,
so I don't know why I don't know her name.
Yeah, Small Island, which was adapted into a screenplay, and she's a prolific writer, and I've read most.
So this is the thing. I've never heard of any of these books, and I've never heard of any of these authors. And I grew up in Hackney and Tottenham, and I've never heard of most authors that people talk about. And I'm sure a lot of people listening who are not from a book background, or even if they are from, not that they're from book background, they're readers. There's a lot of authors that they don't know about. Hence the Don't Judge the Book by Author Podcast platform. So for me, how can I say this? Looking at a time when, I don't know if this is the renaissance of writing at the moment, but who are some of your favourite writers now that you would like people to look out to, and why? What's your hopes for the future of Black British writers?
I'm glad that you mentioned the word renaissance, because I do feel as though I'm part of a movement of black authors that are coming through, and as far as I'm concerned, there's no competition between us. You know, people may feel that they're in competition with me, but I certainly don't view it that way. I think the more black authors,
and if
the
it's
better.
competition, long as it's healthy in terms of, and I said this to someone the other day, I can't remember the way I worded it, it was, I like competition, but not when it's at its detriment. So boxing is 12 rounds, you shake hands at the end, whatever. Writing isn't a competitive sport, it's an individual form of expression. But if something that someone else does you like, or you're inspired by, don't be afraid to say.
One lesson I learned very quickly, that when people's, even at my book launch said, well done Pam, but when I write my book is going to be X, Y, Z and everything else. At first it used to bother me, but it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me anymore, because anybody can say they're going to write a book, and I will encourage them. I mentor people who want to write books. I've got no problem with that. Anyone that rings me out of the blue, I'm happy to share what my journey was like and give advice. But being published is a whole another ball game altogether. But how I see it is, we only make up 3% of the population in the United Kingdom. If we all wrote a book each, it still wouldn't redress the balance. There's room on the shelf for all of our books. And I want to thank you, Rob, because you inspired me as well. I remember the very first time that you called me, you probably won't remember, but it sticks out in my mind. And last night I was discussing it with my husband. The very first time that you called me and we spoke, I'm whispering, I'm listening to you, but I'm whispering to my husband, it's Robbie Travis on the phone. And it's like, so when I came off the phone and I explained, this is someone who I've read his books. And now he feels able to call me to talk about book things and and have those kind of discussions. And my husband said, but Pam, why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't two authors ring and have conversation about books and so on? But you inspired me to carry on with my book journey. So when I read Mama Can't Raise No Man, I thought, this is the kind of book that I want to read, a book that moves people.
So you didn't write that Love in, you said 2018,
Yeah.
I just did the maths, yeah.
Right, so
okay, because remember I said to you, I thought I read this a lot, this one came out a lot earlier than 2018.
Right, no, it's 2018, but I thought Mama Can't Raise No Man is the standard of book that I want to be able to write. And I've gone on to write mine too, and I'm writing the third book at the moment, Loving the Children.
Yeah, that one there, I want to talk about that.
Oh, no problem, but one of the characters writes to, he writes from prison, he's in Brixton prison, and he writes a series of letters to his girlfriend from prison, and that's my nod to you, and Mama Can't Raise No Man.
Yeah, I got goosebumps about that book, but at the same time, I don't know what feelings overwhelming me more, being honoured to know that I've inspired someone who is such a great author. Because for me, like I said, writing is the world I'm from, and it's the world I'm in and I'm a part of now. But hearing that from someone who's an avid reader as well, who's been reading from they were 8 and I have been doing those things, had library cards, it just reconfirms that I'm amongst a circle of great minds that if I stay focused see, for me it's not about competition. Exactly. I can read people's books and iron sharpeneth iron, and my grand taught me a lot of these things, and as a child I've learnt that I wouldn't want to box with people who can't box and then go and fight, because I'm going to have a problem. So that 3% you're talking about are not my ops, as the youngers say. They are expressing similar stories and traumas and creative art as what I'm doing, and they're coming from the same physical skin color that I'm coming from. I have no disagreement with anyone in any other skin color, but they have the same experience coming from. The lens might be different, but we're wearing the same glasses. So I have no competition, especially when my first book was simply based on unifying people, not on being an author. So to become a writer now, realize from people, you're good at this, and to hear from yourself.
Oh, absolutely.
To hear from yourself, courtier, like that. For me, there's some writers who blow me away at the moment, and I know what you guys are capable of. You're encouraging me to. I didn't care about reading. Now I know where these black authors are, and that they exist. 10 years ago, when I wrote Prison to the Street, still didn't really know anyone. That's the truth, and that's another thing people don't really talk about. I didn't know anyone. Carla wasn't even that. Carla's even told me he was inspired to write his book From Prison to the Street. So I'm like, when I was coming up, there was no one to look to. No American books, no nobody. Now I'm having to still be silent. No one wants to talk about me. But I'm still now trying to get everyone to be spoken about, because when I remove my feelings, and that's part of the reason why I went missing. Question, do you believe that black authors get a fair shot in the book industry in the UK?
No, they don't.
No. And what's your reasons for that?
My reasonings was that I tried to get traditionally published in the United Kingdom. I got an agent, I did all the querying, all the submissions. I've got all the rejection letters at home to prove it. And, you know, you hear J.K. Rowling took 14 times, but Mary Bachman took 50-something times before she was published. Are you serious? I'm very serious. And then George Floyd happened. He was brutally murdered. And all of a sudden, these organisations were coming out all over the place to say that Black Lives Matter and what they can do to change their own industry. And publishing was one of them. And all of a sudden you had, the big five saying, where are these black authors? They don't come across, they're not on our radar, they're not visible. We've always been here. And at that time, I would have been in the publishing field for 2 years. And as I said, I've got the rejection letters at home. It's soul destroying when you put a lot of effort into these things and they don't come back favourably, because everyone's dreaming of getting a publishing deal for 6 figures or 7 figures or whatever it is, or these massive advances for their work, and
or just enough to live off. Right? I don't think it's just that. Just like you pay a 9-to-5 salary, you want to earn that much. So getting a deal for a lot of people means that they can at least cover the cost to put out more work.
Absolutely, to be rewarded for the work and valued for the work that you do. So I didn't have any joy in the United Kingdom whatsoever.
Yeah.
So I did what I've seen actors and actresses and comedians do. I headed to the States, and I thought if I start a podcast and I invite authors onto my podcast, and my podcast is global, there must be a publishing company out there that will see me through doing my podcast. So my motto is that we all shine, but we shine brighter together. So by casting the light on other authors, put me in a position to be seen. And I was seen by a small press in South Carolina called Hear Our Voice, and they offered me a 3-book deal for my books. So I got the opportunity to rewrite Love in the Brothers, because normally you do a second edition. You got to change it up, so I did that. Both books, Love in the Brothers and Love in the Sisters, was published on the 22nd of July 2022.
Well done.
So they both came out, and I'm writing the 3rd one at the moment. So I'm just following, people like Jimmy Asheray, Idris Elba, John Du Bois, and all these actors that went abroad and did really, really well. Well, I'm hoping that my books continue to take off by going abroad.
I know a few authors who have done that same route as well, but I just wanted to commend you for your reasoning for the podcast to try to access that, because I think that it's worked out in your favour, and I'm grateful that you've connected with people, because that's something I want to do globally, get all authors writing, like I told you before we was off air, writing to each other from Africa, Caribbean, America, black authors in the forum. So I want to interview authors all around the world. Didn't know you was actually doing that, so it's even inspiring me now to connect with you more, to connect with those people. So I'm inspired. Before I go on, I was going to ask you, do you believe that the black community care enough about writing or reading to support their local authors, and how do we get people to take an interest in reading and writing? But I feel like you've already kind of played your part in not just answering the question and just...
I'm in season 7 of the podcast now, and had you told me 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that would have happened, it was just following my passion, interviewing friends who I know who are authors, and also having candid conversations, one episode with my children, one episode with my sisters.
I didn't know it wasn't a watchable thing, it's audio thing, right?
It's audio, so you can have it on while you're having a shower, while you're in the gym, while you're cooking. That's how I tend to listen to my podcasts.
Can you tell people where they can hear your podcast?
Yeah, it's called the Author to Author podcast. So me as an author interviewing other authors. It's global, so I've interviewed authors from around the world.
Wonderful.
And it's on Spotify, is it Deezer, Podbean, YouTube, it's all over. So the book, in short, the podcast is on 20 listening platforms, and it's also on 6 radio stations.
Wow.
So
the craziest thing is I just feel like I'm hearing so much, and obviously doing a podcast myself, so it's giving me insight and thoughts. It's hard to say it's not, because we haven't had this conversation though. So it's hard to say it's not triggering enough thoughts in my head, but one of the thoughts is triggering enough in my head is that I haven't listened to it and I haven't been on it. Those are 2 things that need to change, and that's why I asked you to tell people about it, so get more promotion around. And then I was saying to you, we was talking about competing and not competing. I really believe iron sharpens iron, but it's not just that. It's network is your net worth once there is no competing. So people can now watch this from your podcast. Once they see me come on the podcast, know about me, they know about you. And that's how you build. And for me, we don't get that when we're being competitive. You don't get the interlink because it's my podcast versus your podcast, or me as an author versus you versus an author, so I don't want to do anything cohesively. And that's the thing that's been holding that 3% back for the longest time. So like you said, even if we was to write all of that 3%, we still wouldn't have as much as anyone else on the bookshelf. So really it's about getting behind each other and just encouraging reading as a whole, just to broaden your horizons in your mind.
I'm the first to do that. I'm the first to promote books. The moment that it's book related, it goes onto my Facebook, it goes onto my Instagram.
I think I've noticed that from I've met you. From before you even, that's how we even communicated. I've seen someone come on social media and just continuously talk about books, and then we had that first, well, I couldn't remember the first conversation, but we had a conversation.
That's right.
And then, yeah, we just developed, stayed in contact since then. And a fellow Bajan as well, another one of the islands. So
well, one of my book launches was in Barbados.
Big up Barbados.
And that was just fantastic. You know, my Bajan family, friends and colleagues came out.
That must have been powerful.
It was wonderful. My mother and my mum and dad came out as well. I ended up on
beautiful.
Good Morning Barbados.
Good morning Barbados.
Right, just like that. And it was interviewed by Cassandra Crawford.
Okay, big up Barbados, sorry, big up my people.
And when I've gone to do book fairs, and you know, especially on the Bajan circuit, you know, I've had people come over and say, "Look, I don't read, but I can support you. I can support you." So they would buy the book anyway and pass on to friends, and I just love that.
Yeah.
I think the highlight for last year was having a book signing event at the Barbados High Commission. And that was just wonderful. You know, every seat full, diverse group of people, lecturers, TEDx.
Next time you're doing something like that, let me know. I'd love to come and attend. I need to. Yeah, that would be amazing to watch. I need to watch something like that.
I've met.
Have you recorded that even?
There's loads of photos. I think there is footage around as well, because I don't just do things for myself. I bring in other people as well. So
because the power of doing those things, and I've been taught the same thing. There's a lot of things that I've done that I didn't really document. In South Africa, someone said to me, "You just did X, Y, Z. I won't get into it." And so document that.
Absolutely. I brought in a poet.
Will learn from or be inspired by and through what you do as an author, as an individual, to go and do something the same.
Yeah, it wasn't just about me. I invited a poet. Her name is Nia Samoa.
Okay.
And she wrote a bespoke poem for me called Loving the Sisters, which she read out. There wasn't a dry eye in the place. It was so powerful. And then my stepson, Jamal Haynes, he's a spoken word artist. It's about belonging and having that sense of belonging somewhere, and having grown up in Canning Town and faced so much racism and discrimination, especially as the National Front and the BNP had a high number of votes in my area. So you always get told, you always get told to go back home. And then when you go back home, because you weren't born in Barbados and your navel string wasn't, you know, they call us English girl when we were walking around, English girl, English girl. So to have the High Commissioner recognise me as a Barbadian and it's really important, was really important to me. I went to an awards event for the Caribbean Global Awards. I was nominated, and I picked up an award for my work around domestic abuse. And it was so lovely that when I came downstairs off the stage, and the Barbados High Commissioner gave me a massive hug and said, "Well done, Miss Barbados, well done."
Miss Barbados.
And it was just nice to feel as though
that's beautiful,
you belong somewhere. So when your High Commission say to you, come and, you know, are there pieces of work that you can do for us? So I'm working on a project for them, and I just feel really proud to accept my Barbadian heritage. So pleased we've become a republic. I'm also looking forward to my Republican passport, Bajan passport, when it comes through. And I feel very much that Barbados is home. Barbados is home for me and for my children as well.
All I can say to you is I feel so glad and happy for you, because as a fellow Bajan, I know that must feel good to go home and be embraced.
Yes, it's important for me to go back with a second book. So I'd like to go back in October and have a book launch.
We're going to get into that right now.
Yeah.
Loving the Sisters. Sorry, did you say you're going back when?
October.
October. I might come over there for that one.
No problem.
Loving the Sisters, people. Pamela's second book. I absolutely love this book. It is so Moorish. Definitely going to read it again. Pamela R. Haynes certainly knows how to grip you into a good story. Review by Sherry Ann Dixon, journalist. Been waiting a long time for Loving the Sisters after reading Loving the Brothers. There was no doubt in my mind that Pamela's follow-up was going to be just as engaging. Awesome writer, Angie Greaves. Review from Smooth Radio, Angie's Book Club, ABC. Part 2 of the story continues. Patty, Charmaine and Rose form an alliance in Jamaica and agreed to support each other when they return to the UK. But with warnings from celestial beings and Veronica dreaming about fish, are the women able to bring their plans into fruition and exit their relationships on Christmas Day? By far the riskiest time for any woman in a violent relationship is when she decides to escape. Loving the Sisters is about love, sisterhood and loyalty. So can you tell us about Loving the Sisters, please?
Yeah, Loving the Sisters is part 2 of the trilogy, and I would say that it's the meatier version of the story. This covers what happens once the women have made a decision to leave their relationships on the same day, and it explores what happens then, the role of the probation service, the role of social services, women's refuges and that kind of thing, and the men's reaction to it. So that's what book 2 is about in a nutshell.
Well, book 2 looks a bit bigger than book 1.
It's a lot heavier, yeah.
Is there a reason for that?
You know what, not necessarily so. I think with book 1 the story ended where the story was supposed to end, and with this book it's exactly the same. At least,
I kind of know the answer before I'm asking you.
Yeah.
I'm just learning to tell you because I get it, but people are going to probably ask those questions. So
yeah, it's a lot meatier than Loving the Brothers, because it's what the whole story is about. And obviously it's a trilogy, so there are still things up in the air that people won't find out about until they've read book 3. And I dedicated that book to my mother, who passed away.
Rest in peace, Mother.
Yeah, in 2020.
Rest in peace, rest in power. In memory of my beautiful mother, Geneva, our husbands, I hope I said it right. Meet me by the river someday. Amen. Ashley. Yeah, that's beautiful. Don't judge a book by the author. Have you been judged as an author?
Oh, most definitely.
Books?
You know, fortunately, I told my employers what I was doing from the outset. So when I was working for probation, I told them that I intended to write a book where the probation service was the centre of the stories. And I'm glad that I went around things the right way. You know, I contacted corporate who signed off on me doing the books on certain conditions, obvious conditions, that obviously anything that a client had told me in confidentiality would not be repeated. Any criticism of the organisation by name was obviously not going to be permitted. But the book really wasn't about being critical of the probation service or the criminal justice system. The book was a black woman's experience of working in those systems. So Patty, for example, had tried for promotion several times and can't seem to break through the concrete ceiling. And they call it glass ceiling for women, but a concrete ceiling for black people. And it talks about her sometimes being more qualified than the people that she has to answer to, who have, you know, authority over her. And that's not uncommon, you know, talking about microaggressions and so on that we experience in the workplace. Office politics, you know, there's always that person that wants to test your patience. And I mentioned those things in the book, but that those themes could work in a hospital setting, in the police service, in the fire service. They can work anywhere, you know, because black women have reported cases of microaggressions, discrimination, racism, all of those things while they're trying to be professional. So, you know, why wouldn't I put it in? You know,
I think you're right to do that. Be unapologetic, but just,
My intention is a third book because I'm trying to get the books as close to reality as possible. So it's based in London. You see London landmarks in there, and there are also a few real people in my books as well. The real people in my books are always portrayed in a positive light. So, for example, Levi Roots is in Love and the Brothers. His restaurant is in Love and the Brothers. And the day that my characters visit the restaurant, he happens to be there. So he interacts with my characters. I met Levi Roots on a trip to Jamaica, and kept in touch with him. And when I contacted him about him being in my book, he said yes straight away. And his restaurant is in the book too. So there's a few real people in the in the book. Carol Thompson is in the book.
Big up Carol Thompson. I love Carol Thompson to bits. Again, a lot of people don't know, but she's the reason why Prison to the Streets came to birth. She's the one who brought it to a publisher in the first place, Dotton Bio Express Publishers.
Oh yes,
And she's the one who made her husband rich. So yeah, big up Carol.
The funny thing is, I sent Doughton a copy of my book, Love in the Brothers, and then his wife brought the book anyway, so we've got 2 copies indoors. Wow. I could not, I've got a nod to her, a nod to Janet Kay, a nod to Chronics. My books contain a lot of music in it. Secular as well as gospel music as well, because each character has an element of that music is the backdrop of their lives and of what's going on. So yeah, and Loving the Children is no different. I'm trying to keep it as close to reality as possible. The books are set in 2016, around the same time that Mark Duggan, another person that was brutally murdered. And we know about the uprising that happened after he was shot by the police, and I want to include that theme in the book because it happened. And so those kind of themes I want my book to cover.
That sounds all interesting for what the future's about to bring for you. Have you ever judged a book by the author or the cover or the title?
I'm definitely intrigued in the book cover and what the book covers look like. That will draw me in.
Have you ever judged? Not intrigued. Have you ever actually looked at a cover and thought, no, that's not for me? Or,
I don't know. I mean, I'm like you. I'm very much a visual person. So a book can drag me into it, or a book can put me off of it as well. But I also think that life is too short to read a book that I'm not enjoying.
Okay, so if I start it, as a mother, did Mama Can't Raise No Man offend you when you saw that title?
Not at all. Wonderful. No, because part of my life, I was bringing up 2 children on my own, and I was very much aware that I can't turn them into men. And I needed to put men around them.
But had it been that you didn't believe in that title, and that you thought you were able to do it by yourself, and you felt bitter about some of those exchanges?
To be honest with you, I had no choice.
Would that change your perspective on it as well?
When someone doesn't want to be with you and the marriage ends, I did say take whatever it is that you want to take, but leave me with children. The title never put me off because I've acknowledged that whilst I was in charge of the major part of the child raising of my first 2 boys, but I can't turn them into men because I'm not a man. So what I did instead, in the absence of their dad, was put the boys around a lot of male figures. My 2 brothers, my dad. I've got very good godparents who took active roles in the boys' lives, so they would go off and do manly things and have manly conversations that they were not able to have with me as their mother. And they have godfathers who are still interested in what they do now, and they have their own relationships with those male people as well as their dads
That's
and
good.
other extended people as well. So the title, I was not offended.
And did you? So again, there's a lot of titles that I suppose people would be offended by, and I understand why people would be offended by Mama Can't Raise No Man if they're in their feelings about many things, or if they have a dislike for men or don't regard men as equals or as individuals in the components that bring us as one. Because if you do respect that, then you respect that that's what God created for them to make us whole, to raise a child. So no, one hand can't clap. So
do you know, I've learned in life that people will be offended for just being offended's sake, and there are women who don't like the title of my books either. I have been told by men that my books are male bashing books, but they haven't even cracked the title to know what the books are about.
This is my thing. This is why we're here now. I'm saying to people, there would have been a misconception with Miss Mama Can't Raise No Man. There is going to be a misconception with books like Loving the Sisters, Loving the Brothers, if you're only judging a book by the cover and the title and the author. And from the feedback I've heard, and as you're saying from reviews on Amazon, that there's only positive really reviews from men and women. I've seen reviews on Facebook from men and women when I scrolled through, posted things up, and I'm like, this book's getting love from both genders. And when I first heard you were putting out Loving the Sisters, I think there was a social media smile on my face which you wouldn't have known about, because I was like, yeah. And as a creative, I like to see more, but not just see more, I like to see where it's going. Cool. I haven't even read the book at the time. I'm like, oh, body of work, Loving the Brothers, Loving the Sisters, cool. That way it couldn't be judged. When you said Loving the Sisters, I was like, cool. Whatever she's writing about, it's not going to get judged one way. That's why there was a smile on my face.
Right,
because I know there's and that potentially stops sales, and that potentially stops the author getting known. My job is to do everything to get us known. So to let people know, put down your guard, don't let the title offend you. Surprisingly, if you stop judging books by the authors, me too, we'll find that there's some great books that we could relate to.
And that's why I like being part of book clubs. And that's why I like doing my podcast, the Author to Author podcast, because it exposes people to readers that they probably wouldn't have tried. I mean, erotica and horror are probably the worst two genres for me to pick up. Yet still, I've been pleasantly surprised by some of the authors that I've read. You know, they're highly entertaining, very funny books. It just takes you to a different space. Would I go to a bookshop and pick it off the shelf? Probably not.
At least you found out.
At least through my podcast, I've been able to explore and challenge myself.
Where to go and look for a specific one of that genre.
And the fact that black people are writing horror and writing erotica and writing children's books and self-help and all of that, I just love the wide range of books that we are doing from our perspective.
As we said, the Renaissance is here. We are a group of writers who I think would be, and I'm privileged and honoured to say that I feel like I'm a part of that. And in the next, 10 to 15 years, people will look back at this time and say this was the time when writers really stepped out in the UK, and not just the ones that they talk about in the mainstream.
Of course,
That's why I'm doing this, because they tried to make out like the mainstream leading the way. The mainstream isn't leading the way for black authors. I think Robin Travis is one of the, and I'm saying that boldly, is one of the names who inspired a lot of black authors to start the game. So I'm saying it based on feedback from many authors. So yeah, grateful for it, not really bothered for the credit, but let's keep pushing so we're not competing.
This is me now. Yeah. My podcast in its 7th season. I'm hoping to get to 100 episodes, and then I'll have a think about what it is I want to do with it next. I would love to see Loving the Brothers and Loving the Sisters made into a film. Yeah.
You could talk there. I've been writing some screenplay.
Which is why when you said you were interviewing Courtier Newland, I was like, that he's precisely the kind of person that I would like to take up a project like this. My books have been sent to Oprah. They've been sent to Tyler Perry.
Send them to me. Send them to me is what I'm saying to you. I said when you said it. I said the first thing I said when you said that is we can talk. I've written a screenplay that is not out yet, but I'm capable of it, and that's why I said to you. My brain's visual. I'm not an author. I'm an author second, and that's why I find writing books a bit difficult.
I see.
My brain works visually.
Yeah.
However,
yeah, I would love to see both of these. Well, I can't wait to see both of these books turn into film and screenplay. And yeah, I'm just overall excited by the game. But I wanted to ask you a couple more questions before we round up.
Yeah.
Only because I know time's permitting against us. But what was the book review you received that meant the most to you?
Right, you asked this before, didn't you, earlier? I think for me, one woman who told me that she read Love in the Brothers and it made her make some decisions about how her life was going. It was like a checklist of red flags that was coming up for her, and she was able to escape into a place of safety. And that review alone means the world to me, because she was in a very dangerous predicament and was able to remove herself safely from it.
So the beauty of that review and the beauty of the next question I'm going to merge them together. So writing seems to have the beauty of healing the person reading the book, but it also seems to have the beauty of healing the reader. Did you find writing therapeutic, or the opposite? How was writing?
Very, very much so. Finding it. I mean, the publisher that I was with at the time, she had a counsellor who would ring the authors every now and then just to check in on how they was doing. And when she first rang me, her name was Grace Forrester. When she first rang me, I was a bit like, well, why are you ringing me? It's fiction. But fiction that's written the way that I write it does bring up, emotions. And there was one scene where a couple had a fight that I was in tears afterwards, and that was unexpected. I wasn't expecting that to happen. So to know that there was a service that ran alongside my book that was offering me counselling, at least just a natter, was incredible. And furthermore, what you write for yourself, you write for yourself. When you're putting it out there, that can be very, very stressful. I remember a few weeks before I was due to go live with the book, I told my publisher I didn't want to do it. Because it's like birthing. You just don't know what's going to happen, how your book is going to be received to the world. You might like it, but will anybody else like it? And that was always something at the back of my mind that was disturbing me about who would like it. One of my character curses, for example, and I know that some people were like, does she have to swear so much, and does she, but it was my dad that defended me. It's my dad that said, but it's real life. People swear in real life, and you can't create these clinical characters that don't have no depth or flaws to them. It's part of it. My character Charmaine is on a journey, and through that journey, she, is able to express herself in better ways. But in the beginning, she's ghetto as hell because that's what she is. That's where she is.
That's what it is. I don't think you need to explain any of it. It is what it is. Whoever likes it, likes it. Whoever doesn't.
I've got to that stage of it. When I got my first 1-star review on Amazon, I was mortified and I was really upset about it. And then I looked up other authors like Bernardine Evaristo, who wrote Girl, Woman, Other Booker Prize winner. Mr. Loverman, which is coming out on BBC as a screen film soon. But I read her reviews, and she has several 1-star reviews for her book. But her book landed her with the Booker Prize. And her books have launched her. She is now chair of the Royal Society of Literature. And she has scathing 1-star reviews on Amazon. But she's still a Booker Prize winner, and she's still picked up multiple awards. She's also chair of the Royal Society of Literature. I heard her speak.
She's a black woman as well.
Yep, I heard her speak at the Black Writers Guild last year, talking about her book journey. And 1-star reviews are part and parcel of the whole book journey. Not everybody's going to like what it is that you're doing. Some will leave them because they've got nothing better to do. Some will do it because they're being spiteful. And at the end of the day, I am still a multi-award winning author as a result. I'm still going to carry on honing my craft, and what people have to say or doesn't really bother me anymore. I've grown a thick skin in this industry.
And that's how you have to be in order to survive it. So anyone writing as well, I'll take a page out of Pamela's book, and I don't mean the physical loving the brothers or loving the sisters. I mean in the sense of being able to not take on too much of the critique, because it's art you're expressing, and a lot of people just generally don't have nothing good to say. And the reviews that you find that you get are negative are funny enough by people that don't even read the book. So when I say don't judge the book by the author, I also say don't judge the book by the review of the author, because the reviews that are being made negatively are not always coming from an honest place. But moving on, you're talking about... Oh, did you want to say something?
I was going to say that I read Harry's book called Air.
Prince Harry?
Yeah,
okay.
I read his book called Air.
Didn't know you did a book.
I read it on Goodreads. I read the reviews on Goodreads.
Sorry, this is a book you judged before by the author?
I was just wanted to see what the whole fuss about. I don't understand how people can hate on him and his book.
Oh, they're hating? Oh, okay.
And I haven't even met them. But the reviews were scathing, and the book hadn't even been released yet. And that's when I realised that people can manipulate reviews, you know, even before the book has been released.
Sure.
So I don't read too much into it.
I didn't want to say it, but people can also manipulate awards. And I was told I was shortlisted to a courtier as well. I was told I was shortlisted for an award some years ago, but I was supposed to be, sorry. And because of, I don't know the words, but because of, I don't know the correct word, corruption, I wasn't. And that would have done an amazing thing for my career, and that was for Mama Can't Read, not man, the first one. It is what it is, so it can, this is what I mean about that industry and having this space for us. It's not that they're always going to award us and give us the platform so the light can shine further on us, so we have to literally create that own space and know that what we're doing.
That's what I'm talking about. You mentioned it right, and so that's why I like the idea
that
I am being nominated for new awards. Yeah, you know.
The Diva of Colours Award, championing women since 2014. Author of the Year, Pamela Haynes, 2024. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. So I'm not looking for a Booker Prize or to be nominated for, you know, these prestigious awards that come with lots of money and all of that. I love the idea that these smaller organisations are creating their own awards.
Yeah.
And I'm also grateful to the people who feel able to nominate me for that. In fact, sometimes the nominations and what they write about you is, you know, breathtaking in comparison to winning. You don't have to win. You've already won when you've read the nominations. But it's beautiful when you get your name called out and that you can go up. And I tend to use awards as a platform to open up other doors for me, to be able to push my book into spaces as well. So to be able to say I'm a multi-award winning author is important to me. To say that I have a research fellowship at the University of East London opens up another section of doors for me to be able to explore my creativity, and I'm really grateful that you know, people have given me those opportunities to come forward and, you know, do some guest lecturing at the university, read from my books, you know, do other works with like the High Commission Office, you know, lots of other work. I was even a judge on a beauty pageant, and I wasn't really into pageants before until I was asked. But to be a judge and to, you know, connect with an audience and let people know about what I'm doing. This particular pageant supported women who were experiencing domestic abuse, a charity in Barbados. I am now I'm now an ambassador for Advocates Against Domestic Abuse based in Barbados, and I'm very proud of that and the work that I'm able to do with Barbadian women who are there. I've even been asked to go on a radio station, a show called Brass Tacks, Down to Brass Tacks in Barbados, and my soundbite, what I had to say, made a soundbite in the news, because my family rang me and said, Pam, you were on the TV in Barbados, what you had to say about the criminal justice system in Barbados. And you know, I've got a very good friend of mine now, Senator Wiggins in Barbados, who every now and then will call me and check out and find out how I'm doing. So I've been able to network on loads of levels.
So these are some of you. How many awards have you got? And do you want to talk about them?
Yeah, 5. So that's the newest one, which is the
Author of the year. And you say these were awards that were made up by who?
The organisation is called Divas of Colour.
Okay.
They help support black women, mentoring, coaching, courses, anything that enables women to get further in their career and in their businesses. They are supporters of it.
So I won't go into all the awards, but you've got 5 awards by establishments that are not, like you say, the Booker Prize awards or anything else, but we are now going to start valuing ourselves and awarding ourselves. And it's funny you should say that before I ask you, I think this next question, if not the last question. The vision that I have, and it's in alignment, I wasn't going to talk about it because you said it.
Yes.
Don't judge a book by the author award. So I want to promote on a yearly basis based on how this goes. And literally it's up to the audience. I'm not going to continue to do something forever if I don't see the traction, but I'll do it for a couple of years just so I give it the chance to breathe. But my whole thing was, at the end of every year, we have like a couple of categories and bring everyone together and do an award show. And at that award show, it's whoever's come on for the year or most newcomer or whatever it is, and Don't Judge a Book by the Author podcast award. And I think that it's got to be significant because, and I will need to probably even engage with someone like you, even saying this on camera. I'm confident to say it on camera because there's no secrets. When you have a vision, people say you shouldn't share your ideas. It's already started. Like, even if someone comes in and listens to this and wants to take the idea, well, I'm still going to do it. So
absolutely.
It's just either do with me or build together or I'm still going to do it to everything. It's not going to stop me from the vision because we need to be valued. And why I say Booker Prize, the aim is to get this award so well respected within the book game that you don't even want a Booker Prize no more. You want to don't judge a book by the author because you know that you're not being valued because you're a celebrity while your book made it, or because a publishing company manipulated your book sales to go through the roof. You're getting valued based on your writings. And what's in a better award than that? Not because of who you know or how good your platform is on social media, or how much people like you, and how it's just nonsense to me.
I commend you for doing that, and I will be down for helping you get that up and running if you're looking for a judge or anything like that. And the only thing I would ask is that, and I might be a bit cheeky, I've also wanted to host an awards event for authors, and I wanted one in memory of my mum. So if there's a category that would cover the Geneva Award for first time author or something like that, I'm happy to sponsor that.
But you know what, already I think I like this is what people need to see, and the answer to the question is yes. Because already me and you are already working together. Even the fact that I've stalled on coming on your podcast because of my own stuff going on. I know what I got to do. I've always known. That's why I haven't lost your contact. That's why I know I came off Facebook, but I haven't lost your contact. I wouldn't forget your name, so lose contact, and you know I am. I know we can keep that contact. So going forward, 100%, there's gonna be a lot more from me and Pamela. I'm gonna say this. I'll say this now on this platform. You'll see a lot more from me and Pamela working in conjunction, and I'm looking forward to going on her platform, but even the idea that we've just spoken about, but I don't want to give too much away of that. But yeah, look forward to Don't Judge a Book by the Author podcast, and look forward to the Geneva Award as well. Look forward to manifesting. This is an example of things being manifested before the Most High and coming into fruition. This is an example of faith walking without the substance of things seen and heard. And this download that's coming from me isn't me talking, take it or leave it. My next question was one of the last questions. What advice would you give to anyone else, not just black, working class, who feels that they don't fit the writer's face? Would you give to young writers, any writers coming into the industry? I keep saying young every time I ask that question. Writers coming into the industry.
Yeah, welcome to my TEDx talk. So that's on stage. That's exactly what I would be wanting to talk about as part of a TEDx speech. And my number one advice would be read. If you want to be a good writer, read everything.
It's because of you posting something on social media in my subconscious at the time, maybe a few years back, 5, I don't know how much years back, but it reminded me of what I said I was going to do. Read books. And read them regularly. And especially since you're an author, that's the least you can do, I would like to think.
Yeah, I think it expands your vocabulary straight away. I think the year that you're talking about, I read 100 books.
What?
That year.
That's where it was. That's where it was. That's where it was. That's why I said
100 books.
No, that's where it was.
And this last year I set 50 because I was writing
That's
as well.
giving me a headache already.
And then this year I've set myself 50 books to read. I've read 13 already. Got no reason why I shouldn't reach that target of 50, but I'm not bothered if I do or not because I'm writing as well. And when I'm writing, I don't want to be influenced by anybody else's reading, so I will solely just.
I was going to say that
write.
must be the hardest part, because for me the reason why I wouldn't want to read any books, not when I'm writing, because and in fact that's pushed me more away from reading at a time, because I'm like, nah, I'm in the zone to I'm coming off of 2 books of a guy who never read 2 books at the time of writing 2 books. That's my track record for reading. So I'm like, no, since Mama Can't Raise No Man, I've had to read Alice Walker Behind You, The Colour Purple. I had to read the book, not because I wanted to, because I had to go on a panel, and the people on the panel had to know about Alice Walker and The Colour Purple. Because I had written a book about letters, they said, well, someone else has done it. And I'm like, I don't like. And they're like, someone called Alice, was you inspired by her? No, but if you say you can go on the panel. Ah, cool, this is what the publishing gave takes I was inspired by. I never heard of her. I'm not from that world. I've watched The Colour Purple so badly that when I had to read that book for the panel, that when I got to the end of the station, I said to the person I was working with at the time, don't need to read the last page because we was at the event. They're like, come on Robin, read the last page. I'm like, just to say I read it. So I think it was about a week after, or the day on the way back from the panel, I said, let me stop being difficult and read the last page, just so psychologically I could say I completed the book. And so for me, reading now, I'm learning how important that is, and I want to share off the back of the question I asked you to people who are writing that yes, reading is crucial.
Yeah.
Reading is crucial.
However that comes.
Any form.
It doesn't have to
newspaper,
be
magazine, comic book.
But also audiobooks, because you know I'm quite open now. I wasn't originally, but I'm quite open now about problems I have with my eyesight. And that means that a lot of my books are audiobooks as well. So, and that's opened up another world of you know, people always say, oh, it's not proper reading. But originally, the original stories that we grew up hearing, like the Anansi story, they're all told orally. You know, you sit around the campfire, you sit around, you know,
Caribbean culture,
and you tell stories. So, and they were passed down from generation to generation. Reading wasn't open to the masses. You know, even in church, in the Catholic Church, the priest read from the Bible. The congregation didn't, because the congregation wasn't allowed to have that kind of text. So what I'm saying to you is that whilst I said I read 100 books that particular year, I would say about 70% of those were audio books as well. You know, I'd rather save my eyesight for writing books.
I think you're too crucial in the game right now for you to not take care of your eyesight. And yeah, we need you. Every time I've spoken to you and you told me about your eyes, in the back of my mind, if I'm honest with you, I've worried. I'm worried. I've not said it out loud. I'm saying it out on the camera. I can't believe I just said it, but it's in the back of my mind. It's, are you going to be okay to do this long term? And how do we keep the longevity? And is it going to affect your day to day? Just even like, just in health outside of books. But yeah, let me not think on that too much or talk on that too much, because I know God's got his hand on you and everything as well.
Thank you.
My next thing I wanted to say was, where can people find you, buy your books, as you were saying, audio, so if there's any other platforms that You want to mention this is my last question as well. Where can people find you? Amazing author. Can you please tell them where they can find
Okay,
you?
I mean, my books are in all good bookstores, Foyles, Waterstones, W.H. Smith's, Barnes and Nobles, all over Amazon. You can find them, but you just switch it around, the award around. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, the books are doing extremely well. They're also in libraries in London. So that was important to me, that men and women have access to the books in libraries. So if you go pop along to your local library, request the book.
I forget to say that, you know.
Yeah.
Books are in libraries, guys.
Yeah. So as I said, I wanted
And
everyone to
you know what's
access to it.
Sorry, books are in libraries. Sorry, Pamela's books are in libraries, and I keep forgetting to say it. To any other shows I've forgotten, a lot of these authors, I'm not sure if their books are in libraries, but there are people's books in libraries. So.
But even if they're not, if you go along and request it, they're obliged to buy the book. And from what I've understand, the libraries work in conjunction with each other. So, say Brent has it, and you order it in Hackney, Brent will send it to Hackney for you. So they're working in collaboration with each other. So the books are doing really well. I'm on social media. My handle on Instagram is Loving the Author. And you can follow my journey on Instagram. I do share a lot of what happens to me, where I'm going, how my eyesight is improving. My hashtag is also Old Lady Walking, because I've decided since last year to pick up walking as a hobby, improve my fitness and so on. I broke my ankle back of last year, so I'm still having physio now, but I have now started walking again. And my journey, over the last weekend has taken me from London to Birmingham to Bradford to Manchester.
Bradford as well.
Yeah, and then back down to London, and
that's why I'm so honoured to have you here, because I know you've had a busy weekend as well, so I'm just grateful to you. But yes, sir.
Yeah, and on Facebook I have an author page called Pamela R. Haynes, Loving the Author by Pamela R. Haynes. I'm on Twitter or X at Pam Haynes, and I'm on LinkedIn under author Pamela R. Haynes.
What's the main one you want people
The main
to...
one is, I would say, is Instagram. Would be the place to be that I update the most. But if you had an opportunity for me and you wanted to reach out, Instagram or LinkedIn will be the page to be.
Wonderful. Thank you, Pamela. I just want to say before I give you a chance to say any last words, I want to say my last words, if you don't mind. Humbled again, grateful, honoured to do this today. Really changed the mood of my day, knowing that I get to do this with you today. Really, the conversation was everything what I thought it would be and more, other than I know that I could probably do this conversation for 3 hours in depth, probably without cameras, and even with cameras, but I'm saying without cameras, so there's a lot more I wanted to say. But some things are just better left for the person and yourself to speak on. But yeah, I'll say on here, I'm inspired by your devotion to continue and to not let any ailment stop you from continuing on a journey. I'm a bit of a fan of warrior spirits, and I can see you have that inside you, so continue to inspire and lift other people while God's giving you the ability to reach those people on your platforms, to let these books travel around the world, to heal, not just to heal, to entertain, to heal, to inspire, to do whatever it needs to do for the people who get their hands on the copies of your book. And I'm really looking forward to Loving the Children, because to see this trilogy in completion is something I think some of your readers might be more excited about than you as the author. So thank you so much for coming down. Blessed to have you in space, my work office. I'm humbled. I've been saying that a lot. I'm humbled, and thank you. If you have any last words.
No, just to say thank you so much for having me. I've enjoyed the conversation. I've enjoyed speaking with you and sharing with you. and I look forward to what's going to happen next in terms of us working in collaboration. And I want to see some of your dreams come true for your work and the work that you do as well.
Amen. So guys, that is it. So much more I want to say, but like I said, that's not for camera. Guys, loving the brothers, loving the authors, Pamela Haynes. Get yourself a copy, get yourself copies, get your friends copies, get your sisters copies, get your brothers copies. Yeah, you get it? Yeah, no, seriously, please support the cause. Pamela's a great author. I've heard some amazing things, and if you don't believe me, look at the reviews on Amazon. That is it for Don't Judge a Book by the Author Podcast. My name is Robin Travis, and this is Pamela Haynes. It's been a pleasure to be with you today. It's alright. Peace. Thank you.
You're most welcome. You're most welcome.
Everything I do, I need to get something from it, whether it's on a spiritual level, because at the end of the day, reading is effort. I'm pouring into whatever I'm reading as well. So I need to be able to get back